Hey, this is Kent, the Cali State Job Coach, coming at you again with the sixth video in this series, helping people who want to get a job with the state of California or people who already have a job with the state and want to get promoted. The previous 5 videos, and I'm going to include links to the channel down below so you can access the other videos. There was a channel intro video, the motivation for getting a state job video, how to set up your Cal Careers account that facilitates this whole process, search tactics rather, and then search strategies. This is the sixth one on how to apply. So hopefully you'll find that it's the most exciting and most important video, because if you don't apply, you never get asked to come in and interview, etc., etc. So like I said, there's going to be links to the channel with those videos down below. I'm also going to provide a link to the Cal Careers website in case you haven't signed up for your Cal Careers account yet. What I'm going to do in this video is, I'm trying to keep it short and to the point, is I'm going to do a walkthrough of how to apply for a job. I'm going to apply for a specific job, plain vanilla, the easy, simple path, the shortest path through. I'm not going to cover all the details and intricacies of a statement of qualifications, what it means and how to do it. I'll do another video on that later, and I'm not going to do how to actually take the exam, the online exam, to qualify for the AGPA position, for the classification in general. Most people can figure out how to do those things on their own, and so I want to just get to this video so people can see how to apply and get started on applying. I don't want to hold anybody back. In other words, for those people who do need some help though with the statement of qualifications, we call it the SOQ, and the training and education exam, the online exam to qualify for the classification, I will be doing subsequent videos. So that they'll come out, but I don't want to hold anybody else back. So like I said, keeping this short and sweet, let's get started. Okay, so I'm at my desktop, and I'm going to go ahead and do the walkthrough of submitting an application. First, I'm going to go ahead and log into my account, my Cal Careers account. So like I said, that helps facilitate this whole process. I'm going to go in and I saved a search during my search videos that I'm going to use to apply for this job. And for those of you who watched that video already, it was a search on an AGPA job for Caltrans in the Sacramento area. Now the results aren't going to be exactly the same because it's been a couple weeks since I created that search. So, but it's live, and whatever foots out from the search will show here live. So it's working. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. There we go. So doing that search with those same criteria, AGPA position with Caltrans in the Sacramento area, Sacramento County to be specific, there are 7 jobs right now. And I can't remember the one I used last time. It's not that important. I'm going to say I have extensive budget analyst experience, not with the state, but maybe in the military, maybe with Fortune 500, maybe with a local company, maybe a lot of good education around that at Sac State or what have you. So I've got experience in education. I think that I'm fully qualified. I already took the training and education exam. Like I said, it's going to follow on video. I'm not going to do that now, and I got a very good score. I'm in the top 3 tiers or ranks, and that's all you got to be to apply for a job. You might notice that the filing deadline on this is tomorrow, October the 13th. So that's why I'm going to apply for it today. I don't want to wait till the last minute. So the first step is, after you've done the search and found the job, probably already done some of this, but I'm going to click on that link. It's a live link right to that job. And it's with Caltrans, the job control number, the salary, starting salary, and the range. Most people who are coming in from the outside are going to start at the bottom of the range. That's the way it is, but it's not a bad salary to start with, over $60,000. Final filing date, like I said, tomorrow. You can apply electronically or drop it off. or by mail. I always do it electronically using the Cal Careers account. You can print this out if you want. You can save it, like I could save this. I'm going to just go ahead and save this. Maybe I won't finish it all in this one sitting, and I'll just be able to go to that saved job in my Cal Careers account and not have to do the search again, not have to run the search, not have to spend those few seconds. So anyway, here's the job. There's some boilerplate about COVID-19. It talks about under the general direction of the branch chief and the budget management branch, Office of Budget Management. The incumbent is a financial specialist providing financial management, budget planning, etc. I'm not going to read all that. It's a budget analyst job. You can look at the duty statement. I always do. You click on the duty statement. It's a live link. It pulls up the duty statement and you can read the duty statement. It's got, again, it's in the budget management office. It's a budget analyst, AGPA. It's got the position number, the date effective for this duty statement. And then it's got the duty statement stuff. General statement, again, budget analyst working in the budget management office. Core competencies, this is important. We'll see later for the statement of qualifications, but it lists 8 or 10 core competencies: decision making, creativity, initiative, problem solving, forward thinking, computer literacy, and then it lists percentages of the duties. The essential duties, almost all of them are essential, and then the marginal, 5% marginal. Again, I'm not going to read through all this. I'm not going to take your time. You can go do this yourself if you'd like. But it's normal and typical of what a budget analyst does with the state or outside the state for that matter. And then there's some knowledge, abilities, and analytical requirements that they talk about. The incumbent must have a clear understanding of principles and practices of financial planning, resource management, budget development, financial modeling, etc. The incumbent must have extensive expertise in budget tools and techniques, etc., responsibilities for decisions and consequences of error. It's a lot of stuff that kind of says the same thing. They want somebody who's got experience in education as a budget analyst. So with that, I'm going to just close that out. Go back to the posting, right? Duties, we looked at the duty statement, working conditions. It's in Sacramento, it's in an office setting, yada, yada. Minimum requirements, AGPA, Associate Governmental Program Analyst. You need to take that exam, the T&E exam. You don't have to take the exam before you apply. You can apply, and then you can take the exam the time between after you've applied and they call you in for your interview, or even all the way up until the day you interview. Don't want to get into too much details, but I usually have taken the exam before I apply. All right, there's a job application package checklist for the people who are process oriented like me. It's a nice thing to print out, and then you can check off stuff. It's all the stuff that's required. It describes the position again, job control, file and filing date, what's required in the package, the checklist. This is if you're going to drop it off physically. The checklist completed, the application form, the statement of qualifications, in this case there is one required, and a resume. You can just check those off and you put it on the front of your package, and then you can do that whether you mail it in or deliver it for that matter. I normally submit these electronically, so I don't normally print that out. So again, it talks about the mission, vision of Caltrans, their department website, other stuff, the special requirements. Now they're saying in addition to those minimum requirements for AGPA, there's a special requirement, and in this case, they want a completed statement of qualifications, an SOQ we call it. It must be typed, no more than 2 pages, single spaced, and using 12-point Arial font, so people can read it and make it easier for folks. 2 pages, keep it fairly short. And in those 2 pages, they want you to include your name and the position number and the header of each of the 2 pages. Applicants who don't follow these requirements will not be considered for the job. They're very particular about this. And so, but what's going to go in here, not just the 2 pages and not just a header, they want you to answer these questions. I usually do it, if there's 4 questions, I try to do 2 on each page. Please describe in detail your experience, qualifications related to the position, et cetera, et cetera. Please describe 2 core competencies that you identify with from the duty statement, right? There were 8 or 10 core competencies. Please provide examples that demonstrate your breadth and depth using Microsoft Excel, et cetera. Like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, but there's 4 questions you need to answer on those 2 pages, and you need to be ready to submit that when you submit your application. Address for mailing if you want to mail it, address for dropping off if you want to hand walk it in, et cetera, et cetera. Required application documents, these are the same things along with the checklist that were on that checklist that we looked at. Desirable qualifications, clear understanding of principles and practices of financial planning, right? Again, kind of says the same thing we saw in the duty statement and the job description up at the top of the summary, et cetera, et cetera. So more desirable qualifications. You should read through these and you should feel like you meet most of them. You don't have to meet all of these. These are desirable qualifications. But if you meet most of these, you should be feeling pretty good about applying for the position. Then it lists the hiring contact, the EEO contact, important applicant information, et cetera, et cetera. And so you've read all the requirements for the job. You're going to click Apply Now. And then here's where so there's some info. Thanks for your interest in this position. The next step is to ensure you qualify. You've already done the training and education exam, and you know you qualify. You finished in the top 3 ranks or tiers of the AGPA. So you're acknowledging that you have eligibility. And so you're going to apply for it. And then, again, this is the plain vanilla, easy path through this. You already filled out the application. Basically, it's a rehashing of your resume. Put your jobs in reverse chronological order. There can be some gaps. Again, there's going to be another video about this, but you start with a blank application if you haven't created your blank application and already done a lot of the grunt work, if you will. But in this case, I'm going to say I already did that. I created a blank one for a Caltrans application, not necessarily this one, but I'm going to use a template that I created so I don't have to redo all the reverse chronological ordering of my jobs and all that stuff. And so there's some EEO, HR type questions to fill out. So you fill them out. In this case, we're saying we have list eligibility. That's what it is. When you've taken that exam, you're on a list. And so you have list eligibility. And then you fill in the job control number and the position number. You've got the duty statement that you printed out. This stuff is on the duty statement. So you fill all that stuff in. You want to make sure this is right, applies. And then there's some questions about, have you ever entered any agreement with the state agency to not, and where you said you agreed not to seek subsequent employment with the state. It's basically if you were on a disciplinary issue and they don't want to hire you back, basically. So for most new people, that's a no. Probably for all new people, that's a no. Have you entered any written agreement with the state agency involving adverse action or rejection of probation, et cetera, et cetera? Like I said, for most new people, that's also no. So you click Save and Continue. So we're following these breadcrumbs here on the left-hand side. We did the EEO questions. We answered the questions on the first page. Now we're going to answer some questions about education. If you already did this template and you're using a template, this should all fill in for you. And you're just checking to make sure it's still applicable and up to date for this application. And so I'm going to assume that it is. I read it. Now it's following the breadcrumbs. Now I'm answering some experience questions. Are you now employed by the state? For a new person, this is going to be no. For a person seeking a lateral or a promotion, it's going to be yes. You state the department you're with. Have you ever been terminated? No. And then here's where I said this is basically the rehash of your resume. It's your jobs in reverse chronological order, starting with the most current one, the present one. You don't have to have every single time frame accounted for. There can be some gaps in here. You just need to be able to explain it. As a hiring manager, I'm telling you, that's the way it is. You can have some gaps. You just need to be able to explain what the gaps were for. So no big deal. You confirm all that experience, background stuff, or you made edits if you needed to, save and continue. Here's where using the tool, the Cal Careers account, is really helpful. It's saying, hey, you need to have a SOQ attached to this, and you need to have a resume attached to this to make it a complete application. So you can go, assuming you've already done a resume, and modified it if you needed to, so it's totally applicable to this position and this hire, which I strongly recommend and suggest you do. You just upload the resume and you choose upload and you navigate to where you've got the file saved at. And I've got them in a little folder called application. So I'm uploading my resume for this Caltrans HUBA job. And now that warning went away. And now I still have the warning for the SOQ. I'm going to do the same thing, choose upload, navigate to where I have that. SOQ for the Caltrans AGPA. You should have all these things in a folder that makes sense to you so you can easily navigate to them. And also to use them again, you're just going to make small changes to the resume. You won't be able to use the SOQ totally, but you can use the formatting and stuff. And then just answer whatever the questions are or whatever the particulars for the statement of qualifications you're working on for whatever the application is. So we've done all that, and now we're going to save and review the application. And it basically, you can download, oh, by the way, the application, the state job application, they call it the STD 678. We have acronyms for everything in the state, but it's got Cal Careers ID, name, phone number, all this stuff. It says, I said I was list eligible. I listed the job control and position numbers. I answered no on those 2 questions. My education, my experience, all these things, it transfers directly to the application for this position, right? Because I had a template that I had completed. And then did I attach my resume? Yes. Did I attach an SOQ? Yes. Were there any additional documents that I provided? No, because I didn't need to. I could answer this question about how did I hear about them? You don't need to. To apply electronically, you need to certify that you agree to the terms, which is you're saying that this is your electronic signature by clicking that box. And I understand I won't be able to make any changes to this once I submit it. Yeah. For those of you managers, state managers and supervisors, maybe even colleagues that I used to work with, I am going to submit this. The resume was blank and the SOQ was blank. So the hiring manager in this instance is not going to waste more than 2 seconds looking at it and discarding it. I do want to save this so I can show the people who are interested what it looks like after you save it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit my application, not wasting but a second or 2 of the hiring manager's time. And then I get this notice, application submitted. To follow up on your application, please contact the hiring department, et cetera, et cetera. Note that it typically takes a week to 2 weeks even for hiring managers to review these applications. State jobs typically get anywhere from 50, I'll just leave it at that, 50 applications plus or minus, depending on what the position is, depending on the department, et cetera, et cetera. So it takes a little bit of time for hiring managers to get through these things. They try to do a good job. They do their due diligence. They do all this in addition to their normal job at night and on weekends usually. So it does take a little bit of time, just know that. But you can feel confident and comfortable that you submitted your application, you did it correctly. I put all these things the JC number, the date I submitted it, the position, the department, and all that stuff, the closing date. Right? It had the closing date on there in our spreadsheet so I can keep track of it. You're going to have to, unless you're the luckiest person in the world and you get hired with your first application, you're going to have to apply to several jobs before you even get selected to interview. And you're going to have to interview a few times before you even, unless you're the luckiest person in the world, before you even get an offer to get hired. So it's good to have a tool in place to track this. And if you put a comment below and ask me for a spreadsheet that I use, I can provide that for you if you want something to get started with. So anyway, I talked about the previous videos, the previous 5 videos. This is the 6th video of the process, doing the application. A lot of folks will be able to figure your way through the resume and the statement of qualification. It's pretty straightforward if you read, and a lot of you folks will be off and running, applying for jobs. But if you need more help, there are some follow-up videos, the statement of qualifications. I'm going to do one on how to do the T&E, the training and education exam. If you need help with that, I'm going to do a video on that, etc. But hopefully you're getting excited. You're already applying, for those of you who are able and willing. If you want to just ask some questions down below, put some questions in the comments, and I'll do my very best to answer them promptly and give them the due diligence and the content and information that you need to do whatever it is you need to do. So hopefully you liked this video. Click like if you did. Go to the channel page and subscribe. There are more videos. If you're trying to get a job with the state, or you know somebody who's trying to get a job with the state, hopefully this is proven valuable for you. And these and the following videos are going to help out. Subscribe and then click the bell next to the subscription button so you get notified when the next video is coming out. Hopefully it'll be out in a week or so. With that, this is Cali Job Coach Kent signing off. See you soon.